Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video we are working on this dress here. So it's a short dress, not too short. It goes right above my knees, so it's not as short as maybe some of you will make it. If you'd like it to be like a mini dress, then obviously you will be able to do that. You can also make this dress into a long dress, but this is pretty much what we're gonna be working on here. I'm using one solid color, but you guys can absolutely use different colors of yarn. You can alternate different colors. You can use 3, 4, however many you want to use to make this dress, but for the sake of this tutorial I'm just using one solid color. Okay, so this is what we're gonna be working on. It's meshy, obviously, as you can see. So it's a dress that you need to wear either like stockings or like shorts inside underneath to be able to wear it as a dress, for that reason. Okay, so this is what we're gonna be working on. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys all the materials that I'm using, and so we can go ahead and get started. Okay my lovelies, so to get this project started I'm gonna show you all the materials that I'm using for it. So as you can see, I'm only just using one color yarn. This is something that you can do in multiple colors. I will probably do something in the nearer future with multiple colors and things like that, but this is one that I'm doing in just this one solid color. So this is Azurite by Timmins is the brand name of this yarn. It's 100% acrylic. It's a lightweight number 3. You get about 50 grams and give and take 140 meters for this skein. Here you will probably need a few. Normally when I do a project with this yarn, especially if it's a dress, depending on whether it's a short dress or long dress, you need between, let's say, 4 to 7, 8 maybe. So that will all depend. So this, to me, I call it kind of like dark, I guess dark red or red, whichever color you want to go with it. But with this company they go by color number, and this is color number 3025. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna be using here. They're recommending 3.5 to 4 millimeter crochet hook for this skein, for this yarn. I'm gonna be using a 4 millimeter crochet hook, which is G6 US. So right on the recommendation there. I have a darning needle to be able to join our panels. I have some stitch markers in case I need them, which I most likely will. I have my scissors as well as a tape measure. Okay, so with all that done, let's go ahead and get started. Okay my lovelies, so before we get it started, I'm just gonna talk about the sizing a little bit here. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to get your tape measure and you want to decide the circumference of your dress. So how wide or tight or loose or tight you want your dress to be. So often I measure the widest part of my hips, and that is going to give me a size that is going to be comfortable for me. Some people do the circumference of their bust, and that also can work, but when you have a small bust, I think it's good to go to the widest part of your body, period. And for me, the widest part of my body is my hips, and so I go with my hips. Okay, so you measure that, and let's say it comes up to 40 inches if you're using inches, or whatever in centimeters. So because I use inches, oh, I just need to unknot my tape measure here. So I use inches. So what I do is, let's say my widest part of my hips is about 40 inches. Then what I do is I take that 40 and I divide it by 2 and I get 20. And so I need to work one of my panels of my dress to be about 20 inches. Okay, and now with that I have to incorporate the looseness of it, because if it's just 20, then it means my dress is going to be on the tight side. But if I want it to be a little bit loose, then I can increase that each panel by 2 to 3 to 4 inches to be able to incorporate the looseness. So that is how you're going to determine how long you want one of your panels to be. Okay, or how wide you want one of your panels to be for this dress. All right, so with that done, what we will do is we will start by doing a chain that is going to be for one of the panels, and we're going to do the 2 panels that will be identical for the front panel and the back panel. But this is another tricky part here. This here works in multiples of 15, this project, but it's 15. So you start with 10, you start with 15 and then 15 and then 15, but the final is not doesn't have the extra 5, it just ends with a 10. Actually, let me see if I can write this down, because I think it's gonna be a little bit complicated. Let me just what is this? Okay, so let's say that I want to get mine to be about the, let's say, 20 inches, and I think I need to do multiples of 15. So the first thing that I will do is, let me just write this down, because yeah, let me write this down. So I will start by doing 10, 5, 10, 5, 10, 5, and I'm gonna always make sure I end with 10. Whether this is the right sizing I'm talking about here or not, that's not the point. So we go by multiples of 15, but then you have to end with the same number as what you began with, the 10 at the beginning. So let's say this was gonna be the length of one of my panels, then it's gonna be 15, it's gonna be 15, 30, 40, 55. So I would need to do 55 chains. Okay, now and then if you want to add, so let's say this is 55, if you want to go on to the next size, then you have to do 5 and 10. You cannot just add 5, you have to add 5 next and then 10. And so you have to keep adding, going up by multiples of 15. Okay, all right, so I hope that makes sense. I will keep this marker and this paper here so that we can kind of reference back. So for me, I'm gonna end up doing a chain that is going to be, let's say, 70, about 70, and that's gonna be multiples of 15 and then plus the 10 at the end. So let me just do it. I think when I do it, it will make sense. And then also because of how we're gonna end up working the stitches, it's gonna make sense why we do it like that. So I'm gonna start by doing a slip knot, and just like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna start by doing my chain of 70. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. So this is my chain of 70 here. Okay, now as you can see then, so what it would be is I have 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and that's 50, and then these two fives make it 60, and then these 2 5 make it 70. So this is the chain of 70 here. That is equivalent to one of my panels, because I don't want it to be any longer than that. If I want it to be shorter, from these numbers here, I would have to remove 15 chains, which is quite a lot, because if you remove 15 chains, it takes you from what you have here to probably something around here. Okay, and if you want to add another set, then you would have to add 5 and 10. Okay, so for me, this is how I do it here. I start with 10, I end with 10, and you have to do it like that. You have to start with 10 and end with 10. You cannot do multiples of 15, because if you look, this is 15 here, 15, 15, 15, but then at the end is 10. So in actuality, it's multiples of 15 plus 10, but it doesn't end there, because we do have more stitches to do here that will end up counting towards the beginning as well as towards the end. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I have my chain of 70, and I am going to need to do a chain 3 at the end here. So I do that chain of 3 on this at this end. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so and then now I need to do my the turning chain at the end, and I'm gonna do a chain of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is going to be my turning chain to do the very first stitch here. Now I'm just gonna go back to this. So if I do add 3, so there's 3 chains that I do at the beginning here, and there's 6 that I end up adding at the end here. Okay, so this at the beginning here, the 6 is going to be there is a chain 2 that I will need to skip between here, and then the next 2 chains are a double crochet, and then the other 2 chains are also a chain 2 chain 2. So let me explain that. So I don't want to confuse you guys too much, but these are complicated projects. If you don't have the right number of stitches, your work will not have the right number of the rows that we're doing. So we're gonna skip the first 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're gonna skip those. In the 7th, I'm gonna yarn over, go in the back of that chain and do a double crochet. Okay, so the reason I say these 6, there's a chain 2 here in the bottom, 1, 2, there's a double crochet, and then there's a chain 2. That's why we have 6 at the end here, as opposed to be the 3 that we're gonna end up adding at the end. And then I will do a chain of 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to skip 2, so 1, 2. In the back of the 3rd, I'm going to complete a double crochet. And then chain 2, skip 2, in the 3rd do a double crochet, and again I'm going in the back of the foundation chain. As a preference, if you want to just grab your loop here and do your chain, you can go ahead and do that, but I go in the back so that I have this clean bottom of my work here. So 1, 2, and then go ahead and complete a double crochet. Okay, so this is something you're gonna do all the way to the end of the chain, and at the end you will have exactly the same amount of skipping 2 and having a double crochet, skip 2 and a double crochet. And you're not just skipping 2, you're also doing a chain 2 to allow you to have this gap here, because you want to be able to have this, because if you just skip 2 and then crochet, it will kind of make it look like they're together. Okay, so complete this row where you just do double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and then do a double crochet in the next stitch. And in this case here, because it's the first row, we're going to the back of the foundation chain, because we're working right now directly into the foundation chain that we just created. So go ahead and do that and then come back. I will have to explain this a little bit better when we come back, because now I can actually, you can see visually why we did this kind of numbering here. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I just worked up my mesh row here, which is pretty much a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and then do a double crochet in the next stitch. And now I'm at the end here, so I have 1, 2, 3 stitches, and so I've already done my chain 2, and I'm gonna skip these 2 stitches, and then in that final one I am going to work my double crochet. Okay, so now we have just like a mesh, row. The reason we set up this mesh row like this is just so that we can kind of have an idea of where we're putting our stitches. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do this row here, the next row, because then it will give me a better position to explain to you exactly the stitches that we did. Okay, to begin the project. So I'm gonna start here by doing a chain of 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this chain of 4, the first 2 counts as a double crochet, and the next 2 count as a chain 2. So then I will turn my work, and then I will skip these 2 double crochets here, and on top of the double crochet previously, I will complete a double crochet. Okay, so this is where my chain 4 goes, and this is where my chain 4 went previously when we started the project. It went here, plus the chain 2 here, which is why we did a chain 6, which was why we added extra 6 chains at the of our foundation chain. Okay, and then into this chain 2 gap, I'm going to work 2 double crochets. So I'm going to go in and go 1 and 2. Okay, and then on top of the double crochet, I will complete a double crochet, and then in this chain 2 gap, I'm going to do 2 double crochets. Okay, so we're just pretty much in a sense putting a stitch in every stitch so far from here this way, except we don't go into the stitches here, we just go under the chain 2 gap that we created in the previous row. And then on top of this double crochet, I will do a double crochet, and then I will go ahead and do 2 more double crochets in the chain 2 gap. and I'm going to make sure I have 10 stitches, that 10 double crochets that I would have completed here, which makes sense as to why we did a multiples of 10. So this is my first 10 here. So 1, and I'm not talking about this first one here, I'm talking about the double crochets here. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So I have my 10, the first 10 here, and then I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to skip this chain 2 gap, and on top of the previous double crochet I will place a double crochet. Okay, and then I will do a chain 2 again. I will skip these 2 chain 2 gap, and then on top of this double crochet I will complete a double crochet. Okay, so now this is where my 5 go, because after these 10 stitches here, my chain 2 gap is 2 stitches, 3 with this double crochet, 4 5 my chain 2, and then this is now where I put the 5 stitches. I have the chain 2 makes it 4, plus this one makes it 5. So now I have my multiples of 15 right here. Okay, and then this stitch here that I just completed is my first of the next 10 double crochets that I will do. So 1 2, and by the way, this is the first one, so technically 3 4 5, and as you can see I'm working 2 into the chain 2 gap, so that's 6 7 on top of the double crochet, 8 9, and then the 10th one goes on top of the double crochet. Okay, so this is my first 10 of the next set. So we have our first set is right here, which is 10 stitches plus the 10 stitches where we have the mesh created. Okay, and then I do my 10, and now I have to do the next set of 5, which is going to be a mesh just like we did here, and that's what I'm going to go into right now. Okay, so I chain 2 1 2, I skip this chain 2 gap, and in the top of the double crochet from the previous row I complete a double crochet, and then chain 2, I skip the chain 2 gap, and then I go into the next stitch and complete a double crochet. So minus this double crochet I have 1 2 3 4 5. So now I have added my next 5 for this next set of multiples of 15. So I have multiples of 15 here, and now I have multiples of 15 here. And then I will go ahead and create my next set of 10 double crochets. So 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. Okay, so I have 10 double crochets right here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. And then to create the next mesh I go 1 2, skip these 2 stitches, and then go in the next stitch and do double crochet, chain 2, sorry, not chain 1 but chain 2, skip these 2 stitches, go in the next stitch and do a double crochet. So now I created my mesh again here that is consistent, and then I will go ahead and complete my next 10 double crochets. Okay, so 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. Okay, so that's my 10 double crochets, and then I will do my chain 2, skip the chain 2 gap on top of the double crochet, complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip the chain 2 gap, and then in the next double crochet do a double crochet. And then I'm going to finally finish it off with 10 double crochets, and then finish the end pretty much the way I began the row, because I finish it the way I finish it the way I started it, which is just with these like this at the end, just like a mesh at the end. Okay, but let me show you how to do that. So now that's my first double crochet, 2 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and then now I'm going to make sure I go into the final stitch here. So this is the place where we had a chain of 6, or like a skipping 6 stitches. So this is where we actually began our the first row. Okay, so and as you remember, I added 6 chain at the end that I ended up skipping to create this. And the reason that we did it like that is because I should have chain 2 in the bottom here, and then a double crochet, which is the next 2 chains, and then chain 2 at the end. So that's why we have 6. So I'm going to do a chain 2, and then we're going to skip 1, 2, and 3. So let's do it from the top. So 1, 2, 1, 2, we skip those 2, and in the third I'm going to go ahead and work a double crochet like that. Okay, so this is why we added 6 stitches at the end, and this is why we added the first 3. So if you get it, then you kind of understand what this is. So now we end with 10 stitches. We started with 10 stitches, 10 double crochets, and then we have the 5 which are creating the meshes in between. And then to start the third row, we're going to chain 4. So you'll always start 4 at this at the beginning of each row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we turn our work. And of these 4 stitches, we have 2 that are our double crochet plus chain 2. So which means we're skipping these 2 chains here, and on top of the previous double crochet, we're gonna do a double crochet. And then we're gonna complete a double crochet on top of every double crochet until we get to the end of these double crochets here. So not the end of the row, but the end of these next 10 double crochets. So I'm gonna show you that. Okay, and I'm gonna show you how to finish this row, and then you can do the next couple of rows by yourself, because you just repeat exactly what we just did here. So our this row here, the third row, is our repeat row. Okay, so the first 2 is kind of creating a base, and then you repeat pretty much what we have done in this third row. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have my 10 double crochets that correspond to this, and then I need to keep it consistent. So the next 5 stitches are going to be the mesh area. So I do a chain of 2, 1, 2, skip these 2 chains here on top of the previous double crochet, complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip these 2 double crochet, chain 2, and then do a double crochet on top of the previous double crochet. And now it's my first double crochet of the next 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, like that. And then I will do my mesh here. So chain 2, skip the chain 2 gap, and then in the next double crochet do a double crochet, chain 2, skip the next 2 chains, and then in the next double crochet do a double crochet. And then you just continue that across to the other side. So I would ask you to do until you come to the very last double crochet here. Do your last double crochet there, and then come back, and I will show you how to finish that row off. And then I will explain how many rows you do before you come back and I show you what the next step is, because we need to do another step, and then we repeat those steps for building up the rest of the project. Okay, but for now, just continue what we just did here, repeat what we just did here across, and then when you do your final double crochet right here, come back to the video. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed the third row, as you can see here. And so like I said, we meet at the end of the 10th stitch here that we did for the double crochets. And so, and just now it's as easy as anything else. You do a chain of 2, which is your chain 2 right here, that we started the chain 4 with. And then on top of that chain 3, you complete a double crochet. And this kind of pretty much creates this mesh at the end. So we have a mesh at the beginning right here. We have a mesh, and then we have a mesh at the end. And then in the middle is where all of our stitches come in. So if I bring this back into the image here so you can see what we are doing. So we did these 10 double crochets here, or sorry, these 10 stitches here is pretty much from here to here, or from here to the end of the chain 2 here. And then from here to here is the next 15. From here to here is the next 15. From here to here is the next 15, and then just the 10. Okay, so we have 15, 15, 15, 15, 10. Okay, and then what we did at the end was we added a chain of 3 first, which technically just we put it back on the opposite side, and then we do a chain of 6. So if you're really sticky with how you do things, you could literally technically would have started with a chain 3 and then do 10, 15, do 15, 15, 15, 15, and at the end do 6. But I just take these 3 and I just kind of add it at the end. So at the end is technically after the 10 you do another chain of 9. Okay, so now that you kind of understand why we did this kind of multiples of chains the way we did it, is just to be able to create the project that will eventually look like that. And then so now for the 4th row, we just do a chain of 4, which is going to be what we do every row with. We start with a chain of 4 every time, and then we turn, we skip the chain 2 gap, and then on top of the double crochet we will do a double crochet, and then we do a double crochet on every stitch across. And then at the end, we do a double crochet to here. You create your mesh just like we've been doing, and you just pretty much follow the pattern that we did on round 3. You repeat it on round 4 and round 5, exactly the same. And then you do the same thing at this end here. Okay, so I will employ you guys to go ahead and do the next remaining 3 rows. So we have 1, 2, not counting the base row here of the meshes. You're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when you have 5 rows in exactly this pattern here, you're going to come back to the video. I will show you how to do something a little bit different, and then we will repeat that pattern. So pretty much these rows are going to be repeat rows, but in chunks of 5, 6 rows every time. Okay, all right, so go ahead and complete the next 3 rows and then come back to the video. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my 5 rows after the mesh row. So there's 6 rows altogether here, and I'm gonna just complete it because I haven't actually completed the last stitch. So I'm just gonna do a chain of 2 just like we've been doing, and then do a double crochet on top of the 3rd chain from the top, or sorry, 3rd chain from the top, or the 2nd chain from the bottom. Okay, all right, so that is completed. So as you can see, this is now how the first set, because we repeat this as much as we need to get the length of the dress, but this is pretty much the first set that we have completed here. Okay, now as you can see, this is beginning to make a lot more sense, right? As you can see, you do see these stitches here. Then you see your 15, 15, 15, 15, and then 10, and then we have our mesh, 1 row of the mesh at the end there. Not 1 row, but like one loop of the mesh at the end. So this is pretty much what we're gonna be working with. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a mesh again, because we have to repeat these six stitches again for the next set, and then we'll repeat the next 6 and the next 6 and so on and so forth. So to start, to go back to the mesh section, we're going to start just like we have been doing. Have I been off camera this whole time? I hope not. And then I will do a chain of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn my work, and then I'm going to go ahead and complete a double crochet on top of the double crochet, meaning I'm skipping these 2 stitches, and then I'll just do a double crochet here, chain 2, skip these 2 stitches in the 3rd, complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip these 2 stitches in the 3rd, complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip these 2 stitches in this, in the next and the third, do a double crochet, chain 2, skip the chain 2 spot, and on top of the double crochet complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip the 2 stitches and go in the next and complete a double crochet. And then we just do this all the way to the end. Okay, so just it's just a row of the mesh at this point. So I'm gonna just quickly go along here with you so that I can show you how we finish this mesh row at the end, and then how we pretty much kind of start the second row to the 5th row is exactly the same as what we did previously. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just complete the meshes all the way to the end, and then I will show you how to just do a few stitches of the next row, and then you repeat that and you measure how long you want your dress to be, and then you just work these stitches until you have that length. So nothing too complicated. Okay, so let me meet you when you get to the end of this row. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just at the end here. So of course for the end we do a chain 2 again, and then we do a double crochet in the second stitch from the bottom here, or the third stitch from the top. And so this is the same row as we did at the beginning of our work here, and then you can just kind of play with it and stretch it a little bit. And then to start the next row we do a chain of 4 and then turn, and then skip these 2 chains, and then on top of the double crochet from the previous row you complete a double crochet. And then now in these 2 stitches you do 2 double crochets in the chain 2 spot. Okay, and then you will do a double crochet on top of the previous double crochet, and then in the chain 2 gap you're going to complete 2 double crochets, and then on top of the double crochet you will complete a double crochet. And then as long as you know at the end you're gonna end up having 10 stitches right here. Okay, so these, including this one, so this should make it so that you have 10 double crochet stitches in a row, which is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, just like we had at the beginning here when we began the second row. And then now we're gonna do our mesh. So we do chain 2, skip the chain 2 gap, on top of the double crochet complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip the chain 2 gap, and then on top of the double crochet do a double crochet. And then from this point on, that's your first double crochet, 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. Okay, and when you do this first row it's probably better to make sure you have 10 of this before you do your two mesh here, and then continue to do this all the way to the end. Okay, so I'm gonna just explain from here on, because you just repeat what we did in the first 6 rows here. So you're going to do, so you just did your mesh row, which is the first row of the next set, and then you're gonna do the solid part for 5 rows, which is gonna create this. It's gonna create exactly this, but right after the mesh. And then you go back to doing a row of the mesh, and then you repeat this again. You do a row of the mesh, you repeat these 5, do a mesh, repeat the 5, and then you continue to do that until you create the length of your dress. Okay, so for the length of your dress it's up to you. So you can measure. Again, what I do is I drop the tape measure from the top of my shoulder all the way down, but from my back side, so I can incorporate my back, and then I can see how long I want it, and based on that I can go ahead and complete the number of rows that is the length of the dress that I want. Now we're gonna make sure we do so the way I'm gonna do the dress is it's gonna have pretty much this kind of look to it, just not too much, a little bit like this. Okay, and then it's gonna come down, so it's gonna have the neckline that is a little bit dipped, like it dipped in like this. So which means then we're gonna do the same pattern exactly until it gets to here, and then I'm gonna come and work for the next set. We're gonna work to create these parts that go up with the neckline here, the base of the neckline being here. Okay, so go ahead and work the number of rows that you need, or the length that you need. And then when you have just enough space to do, and keep in mind these also count towards the length of your dress. So come back, and then I will show you guys how to do the neckline, and then that would be the first panel completed, and then we would have 2 more panels to complete after that before we do our sleeve panels. So yeah, go ahead and complete that, and then come back to the video. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed the length of the dress, with obviously an exception of adding another inch or 2 for the neckline, but so far I have the length that I would like. So this is where we began our project right here, and I left you guys off when you're working on this next set here. So this is what I was talking about, these sets, which is these boxes that we create. We do 1 set at a time, and it's separated by the row of meshes, and then and then we have these meshes that we create continuously as we work up the dress. Okay, so this is what I have. This is where we began, and then I have completed all of this, and then now this is where we are. Okay, so I just measured my dress here. It's gonna be on it's gonna be a mini skirt. I did not say that at the beginning, but I would imagine that at the beginning of the video you see the length of the dress, and you know that it's a short dress. But this is pretty much where I think I'm gonna stop. And as you can see, and I should have also told you this to finish it off without it being the row of the mesh, because in my opinion the row of the mesh begins the next set of stuff, and we're not doing the next set of the stuff right now. We're gonna be working into it while we're working on the neckline. Okay, so I have already measured my dress. I have about 32 inches. So I have 30 inches. It will probably end up being 32, including the next set of the 5 rows that we're gonna do. Now, to be able to do that, we're gonna decide pretty much where you want your neckline to begin, or where you want to set up your neckline. So I would say go to the mirror, and then just kind of put it against you to see how you would like the neckline to look, and then put stitch markers. So just grab your stitch markers and just kind of place them where you want them to be, and then come back to the video. I'm gonna do the same. I'm just gonna go to my mirror here and put this against my body, and just see exactly how I want the neckline to appear, and then I will come back and show you guys how to start working on the neckline. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have decided that this is where I want my neckline to be. So I'm gonna work the next set like this. I'm gonna work on each side that way. So this place here is not gonna be worked on at this moment. We may do like an outlining for the we may do like a finishing off on the neckline, but for the moment this is the part that we're not going to be working on. We're going to be working on the sides. Okay, so I have put my stitch markers there, and so what I will do is I will continue to work on my work here, but just like we start any other row, we're going to do this exact same thing on here, but there's going to be a little bit of a decrease just on the inside part of the neckline, and I will show you how to do that. And it's going to be very minor that you won't even notice that you're decreasing at all. Okay, so again, we just begin this row like we begin any other row. So we do a chain of 4, and then we turn, and then now we just work the next couple of rows just like we have done any other set of rows. So we're gonna begin by doing the mesh row. So we're gonna go ahead and skip this chain 2, and in the next gap here we're gonna complete a double crochet. We're gonna do a chain 2, skip this stitch, 2 stitches. In the third stitch, do a double crochet, chain 2, skip the next 2 stitches, and the next complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip the next 2 stitches, in the third complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip the next chain 2 gap, and then do a double crochet on top of the previous double crochet, chain 2, skip the next 2 stitches, do a double crochet in the next, chain 2. And then as you can see, I'm repeating myself so much, but you guys are you know, obviously completely aware of what I'm doing here, but if you're a beginner, I think you probably want to kind of hear just a little bit of these details here. Okay, so now my next, after I do my chain 2, my next stitch will be where my stitch marker is. Oopsie. So I will just remove my stitch marker at this moment, put it away, and then I will work right into that. So I skip these 2 stitches, and in the third I will complete my double crochet. So this is where I stop. I don't go across to the other side. And then now I need to start my next row, but my next row we're gonna turn. And this is the first time you're gonna do a chain of 2. So 1, 2, and this chain 2 counts as a double crochet, and you're going to turn your work. And then in the next chain 2 gap, you're going to complete 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2. Because keep in mind, this section here, we're working a solid, so we have to work a solid just like we would be with all the other ways that we did it. And then on top of the double crochet, we're going to complete a double crochet. And then in the chain 2 gap, we're going to complete 2 double crochets. And then a double crochet on top of the double crochet. And then 2 double crochets in the chain 2 gap. And then on top of the double crochet, we're gonna do a double crochet. So in actuality, you should have 10 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you have 10 stitches. And now you're gonna create your mesh section here. So you do chain 2, skip the chain 2 gap, and on top of the double crochet, complete a double crochet. Chain 2, skip the double crochet, the chain 2 gap, and on top of the double crochet, complete a double crochet. And then the rest of it you do just like we have been doing, which is a double crochet twice in the chain 2 gap, a double crochet on top of the double crochet twice in the chain 2 gap, voila. And then you just finish it like you finish every row, and nothing is gonna change. You're gonna finish each row exactly like you have been, and starting it exactly like you have been. It's only the middle that things change a little bit. Okay, so let me just finish these here so I can show you what to do in the next, for the next row. And then we're gonna do our double crochet there. Okay, so this doesn't change at all here. And then you'll do a chain of 4, turn. And now my work is big. You have to flip the whole thing around, otherwise you just keep twisting and twisting, and it's annoying to work on it. Okay, so and then I'm gonna work that. So this is obviously, so we have the mesh row, and then this is now our normal row. We're gonna do the normal row 5 more times, just like we have been doing all the other rows, right? Except with this one, you're just doing it on one side of your shoulders right now, and at the same time we're decreasing in the middle part of the neckline, on the inside part of the neckline. So after chain 4 turn, I will go ahead and do my 10 double crochets here, just like I would have done like normal. Okay. And that's my 10th. And then now I'm going to do my mesh, which is chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and on top of the double crochet, complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and on top of the double crochet, do a double crochet. So I have just completed my mesh here. And then now I just do my solid double crochets, but this is where the decrease is gonna happen. So this is where you would want to pay a little bit of attention. And the decrease is also, by the way, optional. If you want to keep your work so that the side like just like a rectangle, or like like a rectangle or like a square, I guess, going up, it's up to you. But I prefer that I do a little bit of a decrease here. So as you can see, I'm doing my stitch here, and in actuality, so this stitch here lines up with this. So this stitch lines up with this stitch. In actuality, I have this stitch and this stitch here because our chain 2 counts as a double crochet. But what I will do is I will just work in this second last stitch. So right here, I will do my double crochet and I'll stop there. Because if I wanted this to go straight, I would actually have to do a double crochet right here like this, and then now it's straight. But because I'm not, it means I'm decreasing because I'm not working into that final stitch. And so if you count here, you will see that we now just have 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we have 9 stitches. In the next one we will have 7, we will have 6, and so on and so forth. Okay, so and then I'll do my chain of 2, and this is the only time you do a chain of 2 to begin this row from the inside. Okay, and then this here counts with this, so this is lining up with that, so which means my next stitch I'm gonna go right here and complete a double crochet, and then a double crochet, okay. So I have my double crochets there, so now I'm gonna complete the mesh part. So chain 2, skip 2 stitches and complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, complete a double crochet, and then the rest of the next part is just as usual, so just go ahead and finish that. Okay, so this is how your work should look so far. And as you can see, even though we have only done 3 rows here, you can see that it's not quite straight here. Kind of goes outwards like that, as opposed to if you were not decreasing, it would just go straight like the other side here. So you have 2 more rows to do like this, and then you are done this side, and then we're gonna transfer our hook to the other side, or our yarn and hook to the other side, and do the exact same thing on the opposite side, to create the other side of the neckline. Okay, so let me ask you, go ahead and complete the remaining 2 rows. Just when you come here, make sure you work into this stitch, and that's the last stitch you work into before you chain 2 and turn and work yourself back. And you will do 2 more rows like that, and then come back when you're done. Okay, and I'll quickly show you how to begin the other side, and then I will have you finish that side as well before we see how it looks when it's finished, and then how we can go ahead and begin the second panel, because this is only the first panel, guys. There's still another panel to go. Okay, so finish the next 2 rows here and then come back. Okay, my lovelies, so I've gone ahead and completed my 5 rows here, and as you can see, I end with the solid, not the mesh, because again, for me the beginning is the mesh and then you end with the solid. Excuse me. So this is where I have ended my work. So I will go ahead and cut the yarn. I will leave a string like that hanging to be able to join the 2 panels later. So instead of chopping it very short and having to do it later, I just cut it like this, and then I will do a slip stitch and just pull it through, and that finishes this row. Okay, so if I place this down like this, you will see that I have my neckline. One side is obviously finished, the other side is not. So I'm gonna duplicate this and do the exact same thing on the other side here, which will then make it so that I have my neckline here for this panel, and the next panel is gonna complete the other side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and begin by starting it here for you guys, and then I will explain for you guys to finish the rest of it. Okay, so my yarn, bring that back in, and I'm gonna go ahead and just get it started, and then you guys will just follow the same logic as to what we did there. Okay, all right, so I begin by doing a slip knot, because we're going to be connecting this new yarn, the yarn, to the other side. So when I have my loop like this, I can just remove my hook, and then what I will do here, this is our chain 4 that we began that row with. I'm going to count, and right now the chain is actually, the back of it is facing me, which is not a big deal, but I'm going to count 1, 2, and on top of that, second from the bottom, like that. I'm going to do this and then bring my hook through and then pull that through that. Then I would hold the little string that I have still left just so that I can kind of control it, and then I will do my chain of 4, okay, like that. And then now I can go into this stitch here and complete a double crochet. And as you can see, now I have just continuation of the mesh on the side, and then chain 2, skip 2 stitches and then complete a double crochet, chain 2, skip these 2 stitches, and the next do a double crochet, chain 2, skip these 2 stitches, complete a double crochet. And as you can see, we're just creating the mesh row, which is this row that we did here when we began the other side. Okay, so nothing too complicated here. You should be now like a master of this pattern, because you've been working on it and been repeating it for the whole panel. So you should be fully aware of what we're doing here. So that's why I said I won't show you guys too much of this row, because we're just repeating what we did on the other side. And then, so now I'm going to remove my stitch marker, put it away. And then for this final stitch, I do a chain of 2 and then complete my double crochet. But they're like that. So now I have my base mesh, and then I will do a chain of 2. So just like we did when we were starting the rows here, we do a chain of 2, but at the edge, we do a chain of 4. So 1, 2, turn. Okay, turn, turn, turn. And then into this next chain 2 gap, I will complete 2 double crochets, and then on top of the double crochet, I'll complete a double crochet. In the chain 2 gap, I do 2 double crochets. On top of the chain 1 gap, I do 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, like that. And then now I have the mesh area. So chain 2, skip 2 stitches, do a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, do a double crochet, and then finish off the row just like we finish any other one. Okay, so you'll do your double crochet here and then chain 2, and then on top on the second stitch from the below, you will do your double crochet and then chain 4, turn, and then just work everything. Don't forget here, don't work into the last stitch, just do until the second last stitch before you chain 2 and turn, and then do 5 rows just like we did here, and then come back to the video when you've completed those 5 rows. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my second side for the neckline here. So I have my 5 rows completed, and as you can see, I just finished it here. So I'm gonna cut my yarn here. So I'm gonna cut this one just like normal, cut it off, not leaving too much of the excess yarn at the end. And the reason being is when we do, because if I do leave these here, then I would have had to cut the 2 of them of the next panel without leaving any. But I would like to have one on one side and the other on the other side. So I will do the exact same thing for the next panel, is that for the first side, I would leave a long tail, and on the second side, I would not leave any. And then that way, when I put them together, I have one string on this side and one string on that side. Anyways, so this is pretty much it here. So this is the end of this panel. We have done this, and by the way, if you just duplicate this exact same thing into a long dress, it just means you do this and it would have been a lot longer than this. So this tutorial kind of works for that as well. If you want to make it long, and for the short one like this, you can do it like this. You could do this for a t-shirt or for like a sweater, anything that you want to do that with. Okay, all right. So now it's time to repeat exact same thing you did with this one for the second panel. Okay, make sure you get the right number of stitches you did the first one with for the second panel. Make sure you do the exact same number of rows. Make sure you do the neckline the exact same way. And then when you have both panels completed, come back to the video. I'm gonna show you how to do, we're probably gonna just do like a short sleeve on each side here. We'll create some sleeves that are for our dress. And unless you want to leave your dress as a sleeveless, but otherwise I'm gonna do short sleeves. So go ahead and finish all that, come back, I will talk to you guys about how to do the sleeves, and then we'll go ahead and progress so that we can go towards the end of the project. Okay, see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my 2 panels here. So as you can see, this is the one that we did previously, and then I just completed this one here. So we have pretty much identical panels that we're gonna be joining together to make our dress. And as you can see, even just trying to line them up like this, it is just exactly the same. Okay, so this is why I say follow the instructions exactly the same as you did the first one, so that you can have your panels being even, and that way when you join them you don't have any problems with one being longer, one being wider, all that kind of stuff. So we have both of them completed, but we're not done here. I'm gonna put this on the side, and I'm gonna talk to you guys, not start the sleeves, but to talk to you guys how to do it. The reason why that is because you literally do it the same way as you did this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the side so we can get the sleeves kind of started as well. All right, so this is a sleeve that I have completed here. The reason I said I would just talk to you guys about it and as opposed to doing it is this is what I'm gonna talk about. So the first thing for the sleeve that you want to do is you want to measure the top of your shoulder, the top of your arm, to see how wide that is, so you can determine how long you want your sleeve to be, or how big you want your sleeve to be. Now I measured mine and I come up to, as you can, well, this is the length of it. This is for me about 13.5 inches, because when we fold it like this, these here have to be able to be something that goes around the widest part of your shoulder. So when I measured the top of my shoulder, it is coming up to a little bit below this size here, but I want to add a few more to just be able to make it so that this is very comfortable for my arm to come through. So what I ended up doing is I ended up doing a chain of 1 2 3 4 5 55 chains. So I begin with 55 chains. As you guys know, for the dress I did 70, and so for the sleeve I did 55, and then of course we add the extra 9 at the end. Okay, so and then when I did that, I have these here, and then what I did was, instead of obviously continuing this as long as possible, which you would do if you're doing a long sleeve, but because it's just kind of like a t-shirt, almost like a sleeve, I just did 2 rows of this, so that when I join this like this, and this is gonna be the length of it on my arm, on my shoulder is gonna be, that is the one that goes from the body of the sweater. So if I bring the sweater in, oh sorry, the dress, if I bring the dress in like this, I will just be able to do something like that. So something very simple and not too long. It's almost like a t-shirt length of a sleeve. Okay, so now I don't obviously do this with you. I have done this one, I have the second one to do, but you do have to finish something like that, and then you're gonna go ahead and do however many rows you need to do to be able to make it the length of the sleeve that you want. If you want it to be extremely short, you could even just do this 1 row here, the first 6 rows here, but I did mine so that I have the second set as well. Okay, and then of course, as you can see, when I finished, I left it a little bit wide, long, so that when I join this to the body, I will be able to use this. So I can actually join this to the body using this string that I left here. So I'm gonna work on my second sleeve. You're gonna work on both of your sleeves because you haven't done one yet, because I didn't show you, but I've explained how you can go ahead and do it. When you have both, come back to the video, and then we will talk about joining everything together. Okay, see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so the 2 panels are now completed. So I showed you guys the one that I did offline, and the reason I did one offline was just to show you guys, well, I did both of them offline if I have to be honest, but I did one first so I could show you guys without actually showing you guys how I did mine and how it looks like. Yours could have probably looked a little bit like this because you did a little bit smaller because you have a small or you wanted it smaller. It could have looked wider if you added just this set over another one over here. But I wanted to show you guys how I got my sleeve and how to do the sleeve, and then I went ahead and worked on the second one offline as well. Okay, so these are my two sleeves completed here. So again, I end each one of them by just cutting the yarn and leaving it a little bit long. This is gonna help us to join our sleeves to the body of the dress later. So I'm gonna put these guys away for now, and we're gonna bring back the sleeve, the two panels for the body, and so we can start to join them together. So at this point you can determine what side you want to be the outside, which side you want to be the inside. Not that I think there's any side particularly that I favor than the other, but just in case maybe you have one side that have a few imperfections and you would want it to be the inside of your dress, this is the moment to kind of determine that. And then what you will do is you will place them on top of one another. Obviously, as you can see, one of this side I have the long string that I will use to join it, and this side I have the other string that I would use to join it. Okay, so you place them nice and easy on top of each other like this, and then we will join the first one and then we will do the second side. And then when we have this part here joined, I will show you guys how to join the sleeves to the body, and then I will explain how you do the rest of it pretty much. But if you are somebody who have been crocheting and you know how to do the joining, please go ahead and do that. I don't have to show you guys how to do that. Go ahead and do your joining, and then come back at the end. Okay, so I will take my darning needle. I have my yarn that I will put through. I hope I have enough to bring it to the end here, but anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and start joining it here. So I'm gonna go on top of this stitch right here, and then I will line it up to the stitch on the other side, and I will pull, and then I will repeat that in the same spot one more time. And this is just a preference. When you go more than once, it's a preference because I just want to make sure that it's secure there. And then for the remaining stitches, I will just line them up and just work my sewing across. Okay, so I just line up this stitch here to that stitch like that, and then bring it through. Then I will join this stitch to that stitch and bring it through. And from this point on, I just line up the stitches, and they should be able to match up very evenly because we have the same amount of stitches on top here. So we shouldn't be having some stitches that kind of hang without matching up with the partner from the other side. Okay, so I'm gonna join these all across until I come to here. And as you can see, I think I may run out of yarn. I think I left this side, I cut the yarn a little bit too short, but that's okay. I will just get another yarn, I will get another piece, and then just continue to join this. So as you can see, I'm going on top of the mesh area, and I'm just lining up the stitches and going across. So I'll do my last one with this yarn right here, and because I'm ending it, I'm gonna go into the same one more time, bring it in, and then just slip stitch this, and then I will cut another yarn to be able to finish this side, and then I'll do the other side. Okay, so just like that. Okay, what I will do, let me finish this side because I think I cut the yarn a little bit longer on this side, and then I will cut a long yarn to finish that side, and then do the bottom do the sleeves of it eventually as well. Wait, and I'm doing this step by step because I really would like those who are new to crocheting, whether you're a beginner or whatever the case is, to understand how to do these small steps. It may not be something too important for someone who is advanced or intermediate, but I'm telling you, anyone who is a beginner appreciates this. And I know so because I get a lot of comments of people appreciating that I explain everything in detail, as opposed to some crochet channels that may not do that. I don't know too many that maybe they don't actually explain in detail, but I try to do my teaching a little bit different. Okay, so I'm gonna join these all the way to the end here. Okay, all the way to the end here. And then when I finish this, I will cut another yarn to finish the side I just had left here. And then I'll come back to show you guys how it looks like. And then I will show you guys how to join the sleeves to the dress, and then how to join the sides, because we will still have all the sides to be able to do both sides, the left and the right. Okay, so I'll meet you guys when you have joined the two panels on top like this. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed joining both sides here. So as you can see, I just went across here and across here, and that is pretty much finished. Now this is gonna be the inside of our dress. So like for example, where I ended up, this is the side where I did not have enough yarn to sew it across, so I just ended up joining the yarn here and then continuing. So as you can see, there's a little bit of an imperfection there that will not be visible when I flip it to the right side. So when I flip my work to the side that I will wear as the outside, it would look nice and clean. Okay, so that's why I say decide what side you want to be outside, what side you want to be inside, so that you're working, all of your joinings are going to be the inside of our dress. Okay, all right, so now that I have completed that, I am going to place my dress down like this, so that I have the side I joined is facing up, the side I will continue to join it is the side that is facing up. But now I want to be able to place one of the sleeves on my dress, and what I will do is I will just kind of place it like this. I'm trying to make sure you can see, because I'm gonna pretty much explain how you join it, and then the rest of it you do on your own. So I already know that this is the middle where I joined. This is the middle of my work right here. And I know on the other side that this is the middle of my work, okay? Because I have 1, 2 boxes, 1, 2 boxes. And so I know this section here is the exact middle of my sleeve, and this is the exact middle of the top of my shoulder. So what I will do is I will put a stitch marker here, and I will do a stitch marker here. And all I have to do is join my work straight across like this. And then that way I know it's in exact middle of where I need to work in. Okay, so with that said, I'm gonna grab my stitch marker, and I will put one right here, because this is where I will begin joining, like that. And then the other one I will put right here, because I know this is where I will join until. Okay, so I don't know if it's visible on camera. I think it is. So I'm gonna be joining from here to here. Okay, so all I need to do now is just flip it like this, like that, and then just work my joining across. And then when I finish this, I flip it to the other side, and I do the exact same thing with the other sleeve. Okay, and then when I have both sides joined, I will come back to the video, and then we will talk about how you join the sides, because we still have the sides here, we still have the bottom of the sleeve as well. So for now, just join your work from here to here, and then come back to the video. Oh, and you do both sides. So you do this side and the other side, and then come back to the video. Okay, my lovelies, so I have now joined my sleeves to my dress. And as you can see, I just flipped it to the side to be able to look like what a dress would look like, obviously. But as you know, when we joined it, I actually had it kind of flat like this. I had it kind of flat like this to join here. But now that I have joined both sides, then I can just flip it so that we actually do see it the way we would have it on, okay? So now that we have it like this, I'm gonna explain how to join the rest of it. So if, for example, we pick this side, and again, you're still staying on the side that is going to be the inside of your dress. Okay, so this is the sleeve here. We're obviously going to line up the sleeve here and be able to join from here to here. And then from the bottom of the armpit here, we're gonna be able to join it all the way down to the bottom, okay? So all of these here have to be joined. I'm not going to show you guys how to do that, because all you have to just do is use whatever technique that you like to use to join, or use the technique that I used when I showed you so quickly how to do. But for example, I would not go in like this to join, okay? I would not go in between my stitches, because this is all the mesh area here. But what I will do is when I start here, if I start here or I start on the top, I would line up all of these so that they're all lined up for the holes to kind of appear like this. And then I will go into the stitches like this. I will go into the stitches like this as opposed to going underneath like this, okay? And then so I will obviously start on top of this stitch here, on top of that stitch, and I'll go through here and then line it all up. I will probably do one in the middle. So let's say this is let me line it up like this. So when I have it all lined up like this, I will have one at the very beginning here, and then the next one will be in the middle. The next one will be joining on top of the chain 2, which means I have to match it with the chain 2 on the other side, and then just line it all the way up to the top and join it. And then when I finish that side, I will flip it to the opposite side and do the same. Join your sleeve, or you can join the body first and then the sleeve next, but you have to join the bottom of the sleeve here and then continue to join the rest of it all the way here. So you're gonna do this with both sides. When you've completed that, come back to the video, and then I will show you quickly how to just clean up a little bit. Go ahead and also weave in all of your ends. When you have joined everything fully, weave in all of your ends and then come back. And I think I will just clean up the neckline a little bit, and I think the rest of it I'm okay to have it stay like that, because here it ends with the mesh, the bottom ends with the mesh, and then all I need to do is just make sure I clean up the neckline here. However I'm gonna do that, I will come and explain to you when I come back, okay? So go ahead and complete the joining of the dress and then come back later. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed joining my dress. So as you can see, I have the sides joined. This is the area here that goes along the side all the way, and then it obviously carries on to joining of the sleeve as well. So now we have our sleeve, and of course I did that on the other side as well. So now your dress is pretty much almost completed. For those of you who don't mind for the neckline to look like this and you want to leave it like that, you absolutely can. But I would like to just do maybe a row of like single crochet stitch or something like that on the neckline, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. As you can see, like the edges here are not very kind of neat looking. So that is the only thing that I'm gonna have to do. I have already weaved in everything, all the little strings that I had from joining, from just like you know, like putting another what do you call it, having another yarn to put to continue. As you can see, as I flip, I just found another one here and another one here, so I guess there's 2 places I didn't do, but I will do that off camera, so I don't have to do that right now, so I can show you guys what to do. Yeah, so now I can just flip my work to the right side. So this is the side that is gonna be the outside of my dress. So what I will do is I will then just bring a yarn and I will connect it here, and then I will work a row of single crochets across, okay, or around the neckline. Like I said, you can do whatever type of neckline you want. I am just going to do a single crochet because I don't think it needs too many things to be done to it, because I think it's kind of nice and neat already the way it is. Okay, so to go ahead and get started with that, I'm just going to do a slip knot like we would do when we're kind of starting a new part of the project, and just something like that. And then I'll just go into the corner here. You can kind of start anywhere, but I think starting in a corner is better, so you can kind of see where you're working your stitches. So I will go into this corner and I will bring my hook through like that, okay? And then from here I will do a chain of 1, and then I will go into this gap here. So I'll go right into this gap here, and I will do, let's see, 1, 2, yeah, let's do 2 single crochets there, and then I'll move over to this part here of the project, and then I'll do 2 here as well, 2 single crochets, and then I'll do a single crochet here, and then I'll go into this gap here because this part here there's no actual stitches to work with. You're actually just working on with these gaps here. So as you can see, I'm just grabbing whatever I think I need to do one, I do one. And for example, here we'll do 2, and then I'll move on to this gap here and do a single crochet, and then I'll move on to this area here and I will do 2 single crochets, and then I'll grab this and do a single crochet here. And as you can see, I'm just trying to make it neat as I go around this area here. and I'll do this until I get to the top. And then as you will see, for the top here we do have stitches, so you can kind of work with stitches because it's not as like this side here. So I'll just show you until I get to that part of the project, and then I will have you guys complete by going around the neckline here. Okay, so again, just single crochets that you kind of space to make sure they're not too, it's not too gappy, but it's not too you don't want the neckline to look loose, because if you do a lot of these single crochets in the same gap, it's gonna make it gappy or loose actually. So you just want to kind of space it properly. So now we have this area here that I will do 2 as well, and then I'll do 1 here, and then I'll go in here and do 2. And as you can see, when I say in here, I'm talking about the gaps that have the chain 2. And then in the on top of the double crochet, I'll do 1 single crochet, then I'll do 2 single crochets in the chain 2 gap. And then from here on, as you can see, I have these 10 stitches, and in each stitch I will just do a single crochet. Okay, so just go into every single stitch here and do single crochets like that. Okay, so this is just something to clean up here. You don't have to do anything too complicated. It's just to make sure that your work looks nice and neat. And then I'm now going to the chain 2 gap, and I will do 2 single crochets there. And then I'll go on top of the double crochet and do 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets in the chain 2 gap. And then I'll go into this gap here and do a single crochet, and then 2 single crochets in this gap. And then now we're back to the side that is this, where what we did here on the other side. So I need to go on top of here and do the same thing, and then I will end up in the back, and the back will be pretty much the same as what we just do here. So I repeat the same thing there, and it will take me all the way to where I just started this row here. So go all the way to here, and when you get to here, come back. I will show you how to finish it off, and then how to pretty much kind of end our project. Okay, so I will see you guys when you get to where we just started off the single crochet stitches. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my single crochets around the neckline, and as you can see, this is where we began that row here. So I'm gonna just go into this stitch and do a final single crochet, and then I'll slip stitch on that first stitch here to just kind of finish it off. Okay, now if you want to do anything more on the neckline, absolutely go ahead and do that, but for me, I am going to just kind of end it here. So I'm gonna bring my scissors in, cut my yarn somewhere here, and then put that away. And then I will do a chain 1 and pull it through, and then I just do a slip stitch there like that. Okay, so now if I put my work back down like this, I think it's a little bit cleaner now. Well, not with that hanging there, but let me flip it to the other side, because I have to still weave that in. So if you look at it now like this, you will see that it's a little bit cleaner. So that's how our neckline looks, like that. Okay, so I like the way it looks. I still have this, I still have where we just finish off to be able to weave that in here. And then I would, these 2 here, I will just weave these 2 in, and then I think there was another one here and here, and then that's pretty much the end of the project. So there's nothing else to do. Yeah, so this is a really cool pattern that I did here. I hope you guys can enjoy doing this. Like I said, you can probably do a whole bunch of different things with this. I will probably do other projects using the same stitch, whether it's sweaters or even a long dress, or one where you change whatever. Like I will do multiples of these so that you guys have the option of choosing whatever you like to do using this kind of pattern here. Okay, but anyway, so thank you so much for watching the video to the end. Please look forward to doing other things that are similar to this, whether, like I just said, whether it's sweaters and dresses and all of that kind of stuff, skirts. Yeah, and I will go ahead and produce more tutorials for you guys as we go, and I would like you guys to comment, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And thank you for your support if you're doing that, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.